All right, welcome back. It's just about to turn 8:20. We got our finance fix now. Let's talk about a healthy work-life balance. It's not always easy, especially in the summer when schedules, get busy. We've got vacations kind of colliding with deadlines and really everything that life has to offer. So here to help us understand what balance really means and how to manage it is Matt Piszczek, a workplace expert and professor at Wayne State University. Matt, we appreciate your time this morning. Let's start with the basics. What is a work-life balance? I mean, some of us don't even know what that term means.
Yeah, it's a bit of a loaded term. First of all, it implies that work is not part of life. And of course, we know that for most people it is. So we have to consider what role work plays in our life. It also, by using the term balance, implies that there should be some sort of equality in terms of how we spend our time between work and non-work activities. But for most folks, that's not going to be the case. What a balance is going to be different to different people. So we really need to be kind of introspective about what work means to us, how important it is in our lives relative to everything else, and how we want to divvy up our time and energy across those different life domains. So yeah, work-life balance is really an individual thing. It's what works best for you. It doesn't necessarily mean you're spending all a certain amount of time at work or a certain amount of time at home.
Yeah, so I guess, in today's day and age, in 2025, how should we be thinking about this? Should we maybe be taking stock of like what we need out of both scenarios here? I guess what's your recommendation on that?
Yeah, I think that's really important. You need to think about what you're getting out of each domain, what the demands of each domain are. And I think a really important element of maintaining a healthy work-life balance is also how you transition between your work domain and your home domain. So we know from research that this transition across the domains is very important. It requires some energy, some like mental resources to make that transition. And I think that's where a lot of people really struggle, especially as you mentioned now in 2025, the boundaries between work and home are blurrier than they ever have
Yeah.
been with technology enabling people to get emails at home and take phone calls and text messages and whatnot across a lot of different jobs. So taking that time to maybe 10 minutes between work and home to kind of mentally readjust, to disengage with whatever it is you were just doing at work or at home and reorient yourself towards the work or home domain you're entering into right now. That can make a big difference in your general well-being and the stress you experience moving into that next domain.
Yeah, absolutely. I do take about a 10 to 30-minute break in between work and home just to kind of
Yeah,
decompress and then get myself in the idea that, oh yeah, I'm at home now. I can relax. I can do whatever I need to do and go about my day.
absolutely. Everybody has their own ways of making sure they can maintain that work-life balance. But I would love to hear a little bit more about what that might look like. I know that we were talking about everybody's different. It's going to look different for everyone. But are there some green flags that you would say are great highlights that would look like a work-life balance?
Yeah, it would. The biggest green flag I would say is you're not falling short in meeting the demands of either domain. So if you're getting all your work stuff done, you're getting all your home stuff done, and you don't feel like one is really getting in the way of the other, that's a pretty good sign that you have a good work-life balance. Now, again, the demands vary across work and home for different people depending on their individual circumstances. And it may be the case that you just simply have too many demands to meet them all. And in that case, you're probably going to have a harder time maintaining a work-life balance. So, to the extent that it's possible, trying to minimize extraneous demands and being realistic about what you can accomplish, trying to prioritize, those can help you maintain a good work-life balance. But I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it earlier. A lot of this has to go off of, when that phone starts buzzing and it's work and it's our email going off, it's our phone, or it's our boss, and they're calling us, and everything is giving us a notification about what's going on in the office. How do you like kind of put up that mental blockade saying, okay, this is my lifetime now? I mean, a lot of people do feel guilty doing that. So how, I guess, do we kind of curb the guilt there and just try to live on our own when we're trying to do the life part of the work-life balance?
that is something I personally struggled with, so
Yeah.
I understand. And the thing is, you have to come to the realization that work, especially if you're in the kind of a job where, you're not, you don't have set work hours, or your work is really knowledge based, so it doesn't ever really stop. You can't easily leave it behind. Like if you're doing a more physical job, you have to kind of teach yourself that the work will always be there and it won't stop if you don't stop it. So you have to kind of train your brain to leave work behind at a certain point. Um, I will say that people have different preferences for the extent they want to do that. Some people are more like, we call them integrators. They like to go back and forth between work and non-work thoughts and behaviors and tasks really rapidly and very frequently. Other people are more segmenters. They keep work and home very separate. As soon as I'm done with work for the day, I'm done. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to talk about it. And then I'm going to focus on my home domain. So generally, if you're a segmenter, that makes it a little bit easier to not feel guilty about not working after hours. Uh, but it can be difficult to get into that mindset. I think people who are segmenters generally have better work-life balance overall. But if you're in a really highly demanding kind of job where you can't miss those expectations to
Mm.
be available outside of work hours. Being in more of an integrator can at least help you mitigate some of that stress, but it doesn't necessarily produce better work-life balance.
Yeah, interesting tips there, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Having segmenters, having integrators, different types of ways that you can try to draw that boundary to make sure you have a work life balance. That's all on the employee's side. But can we talk a little bit too about the employer's side? What are some things that workplaces can do to help their employees maintain a type of work life balance?
Yeah, there are two key elements, I would say: flexibility and trust. A lot of organizations are pushing more flexible options for employees in terms of work hours, work locations, more family-friendly benefits. But one of the big problems with these benefits is you get like supervisors that don't trust employees to use them.
Mm.
So they kind of block off access to these important benefits and this important flexibility. Or along the lines of what we were just talking about, if you give employees flexibility, like to work from home, some employers are taking advantage of that by putting pressure on employees to be more responsive while they're at home outside of normal working hours. So I think for employers, giving employees as much flexibility and autonomy as possible is really important, but you also have to empower employees to use that flexibility and autonomy to maintain their own work-life balance, because it's such an individual experience. Everybody's home demands are very different, and if you don't let people use the flexibility the way that works for them, either to integrate or segment or whatever, it's not going to really be that helpful. So, yeah, trust and empowerment along with those benefits is critical.
Yeah, one of the things that we are deeply in right now is the season of summer. How does this idea of a work-life balance change during the summer months? I mean, folks have vacations, they've got childcare, time off happening. I mean, there's a lot going on, especially in Michigan where we've got lakes and, just areas of fun all across the state. How do we kind of balance this work-life balance during the summer months? And, I guess the kids are off too, so we got to worry about that as well.
Yeah, summer can be very challenging because a lot of the kind of institutional supports like school we have to help meet some of our family demands, they're not available in the summer. Again, it's going to be very individual. It depends on what your childcare needs are. But the biggest tip I can give you is take your vacation. A lot of we have a problem in America where people get vacation, but they don't actually take it. Something like 50% of vacation is just left on the table. So make sure you're taking your time off. Make sure you're taking advantage of the beautiful weather and our beautiful state and all the lakes and everything like that. But you do need to find some kind of institutional support, probably to replace the school support that we usually get, especially for people where all the parents are working full time. So summer camps, things like that are very popular, of course. There can be temporary daycare situations. If you can afford those things, they're good options. Um, But yeah, I just want to make sure people are taking advantage of the benefits they have available through their jobs, like vacation.
Yeah. One more quick question for you, and I've got about 20 seconds left here. When we're talking about the work-life balance and how it relates to summer, and how it relates to just our lives in general, a lot of people do feel guilty. A lot of people may need more clinical help in that regard. Is there anything that you would recommend to those folks that may need to go see a professional to get help with those maybe mental blockades when it comes to work-life balance?
Yeah, I mean, seeking professional help if you're really struggling, if you really feel like that much guilt about not doing your job, I will just say, the work will get done. It will always be there. You have support at work, and if you need to get support yourself, it's definitely a good option.
All right, Matt Piszczek with Wayne State University. We appreciate your expertise on the work-life balance debate. Of course, that's been a debate for years now.
Absolutely.
So hopefully you can find some peace in the tips that he just gave you. Matt, we appreciate your time. Thank you.